And Adrian, you'll pull up the slides and share your screen, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay. Just check my email to see if there is. Okay.
Adrian, are you able to promote Dan Lieberman up to a panelist? Thanks. Just think he might be helpful in responding to any questions. Thank you.
I guess, yeah. Just gonna hope that people start showing up in the next few minutes. I'm going to go ahead and reach out to some of these, to the remaining members. I'm going to mute myself.
Hi, Annie. Did we confirm with other of the committee members?
Hi, good morning, Mayor Hernandez. Adrian had confirmed,
Yeah.
and I think he is now reaching out to see where folks are.
Yes, I'm reaching out to them now.
Okay.
Good morning,
Good morning.
Director Patino.
Yeah, the link sent me to, I guess I was in the audience instead of actually getting on here. How
got
many
it.
do we need for a quorum?
Adrian, are you there? He turned his camera off to
Oh,
reach
yes,
out.
my
to
apologies. Yes, we have a quorum. We need 3 people for a quorum.
Okay, so let's go ahead and get started because this is a long
Oh.
meeting.
Yes, 1 second. Let me just put you on mute for one.
Okay, I got my words mixed up.
That was Director Harrison. She was having problems getting into the meeting. I'm going to send her a link now, but we can go ahead and start the meeting, and I will send her the information that she needs now. Okay. So we like to start roll call.
Yes, let's do that.
Okay. Director Tiedemann?
Here.
Director Kick?
What?
Here.
Director Hernandez?
Present.
Director Harrison, she'll be here in a few minutes.
There she is.
Yes, Director Harrison.
Here.
And
Here.
we have a quorum.
Okay, great.
Great. So we want to move on to Bettina, are you chairing the meeting?
Yes, I am. Yes.
So it would be approval of minutes next.
Okay, so should we do public comment first?
There are no speakers for public comment.
Okay, no speakers. Okay, so we'll go. Okay, can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
I will go ahead and motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Let's do we have to do a roll call for this?
Yes.
Okay, let's do a roll call.
Very nice. Director Tiedemann,
Yes.
Director Kick,
Yes.
Director Hernandez,
Yes.
Director Harrison.
I said yes before. Sorry.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Sorry. I confused everybody.
Thank you. And Chair Patina. Chair Patina? Yes.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, next item 4, overview of partnership opportunities. This is an informational item. Who will be presenting?
That'll be me, Chair Patino. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm Annie Henderson, the Vice President of Marketing and Account Services with EBCE. And we're bringing you this presentation today as really a follow-up to something we brought to the full board in the last board meeting, which, there were certain timelines that sort of expedited the bringing that item to the full board. But I think now we're back sort of in the due process by reviewing more of this information here at the subcommittee. So some of this will look familiar, but I did try to provide a bit more background and context for you, and hopefully this will result in a good conversation and we can decide which way to move forward. So could you move to the next slide, please, Adrian? So just quick sort of level setting on what I hope to get out of this meeting today is to get your feedback on partnership opportunities in general, and then specifically get direction on the Roots Sports Club, which is our professional soccer team in Oakland. They just had their season opener this weekend. So looking for your specific direction on that opportunity. Next slide, please. Excuse me. So why are we looking for a partnership? Is sort of the first question I want to address here with you today. Next slide. And the reason being is that I wanted to first give some background and context. So many of you were with us or perhaps on your own city council that approved your participation in the JPA when we launched in 2018. So we launched to commercial in June and residential in November, and we just automatically got 550,000 customers, which is very unusual for most retail products. So we really focused on getting out our compliance notices, those customer notices, creating some awareness. Hey, we're a new agency and we're here to serve your electricity. And we did a lot of event outreach at that time. In 2019 to 2020, we really were focused on customer retention, really establishing the sort of baseline marketing collateral. We ended up doing a revamp of our website from, sort of the initial very basic information to something much more easy to navigate, but still had a lot of content. We built out our social media platforms and other digital communications, including setting up a sort of government-specific email platform, building networks through our municipal channels, many of your staff and your own newsletters, as well as community organizations, and continued to build our brand. And so we did this through providing local sponsorships. We set up a number of our social platforms. The most recent one was getting a next door agency, which strangely that took quite a while, but now we're there. And then, as I mentioned, this Granicus or Gov Delivery, which is a special platform. So that brings us up to 2021 and looking forward. And so we're really moving from this, okay, keep our customers, set up a foundation, to specific calls to action. So whether that is opting up to Renewable 100 at an individual level, or maybe even at a community level, like Dublin will be doing in October, or requesting customers to consider care enrollment so that they get discounts on their bill, And then various program participation, so like the Resilient Home Program for solar plus batteries. And we're really needing to engage with our customers, not just sort of passively accept us, but do something. And so again, you know, we're working with some consultants on an assessment that I'll bring some of those results back here to present to the subcommittee. And then we're partnering with a number of private entities that have been selected through RFPs as part of our program launches. So companies like Sunrun and Ohm Connect, and really being able to bring a value to them that is, not only do we have all this customer information, but we know how to get them engaged. We know how to get them to take action that helps to achieve our climate resiliency goals. Next slide, please, Adrian. So just a quick summary of that. Basically, early on, we were all about enroll, then we were retain, and now we're at engaging. So next slide, please. So our current challenge, and again, this is all sort of still in the context of why are we looking for a partnership? We are growing in our brand awareness, and you can see in this chart the surveys that Dan Lieberman, who's on the line today, he's been conducting these. We continue to increase our brand awareness, but it's still low. So, you know, 41% is not at all bad for an organization that has existed for less than 5 years, but it's not, you know, enough to really bring in all of our customers to the participation rates that we need to make these programs really effective. We also have a urgent call to action related to utility debt. So we want our customers to sign up for CARE. We want them to sign up for the arrearage management program, which helps with debt forgiveness. We want them to participate in the emergency rental assistance programs. So we have some fairly urgent calls to action, and then we have just ongoing calls to action for our program participation, which if you view them through the lens of climate change, those are also very urgent, but maybe in a slightly different way. And we feel we need trusted partners to do this. I mean, this is great. We have the 550,000 customers, but they don't know who we are. So leveraging a trusted partner, other voices that they listen to, can really help get that word out. And we did conduct, well, the programs team worked with a group called EJ Solutions and ran focus groups, and the results from those were focus groups of people who had experienced disconnects in the past. The result of that was really, we need some trusted partners and community-based organizations. Next slide, please. So with that, our current objective is to partner with a local organization, institution, company that has networks throughout our service territory, use this partnership to expand our reach. We have a great reach. It's just nobody's really thinking about electricity except, oh, my bill's past due. So we want to leverage a trusted partner to help engage customers and help them take that action, and then drive participation in our programs. And I threw some statistics up here. They're a little old. I sadly couldn't. There's Accenture had been reporting on this metric for years, and it seems to have dropped off about, less than 5 years ago. But it's kind of a rule of thumb that I think a lot of people in our industry in customer engagement talk about, which is, a customer spends maybe 9 minutes a year engaging with their electric utility. That is through the digital channels, so maybe logging into your account or looking at the website, and then 11 minutes a year non-digital channels. And that's maybe calling up to address like a bill issue that's very specific to you. I'm actually rather shocked at the 11 minutes per year per customer. If we had that, our call center would be overrun. So I don't actually think that's true of our customers, but you can see, you have, let's call it 10 minutes a year to get somebody to pay attention to your messaging. So how do you reach people? How do you expand that 10 minutes? Next slide, please. So what we are currently doing and what would be supplemented by a partnership is we will currently and continue to do paid and organic social media. And again, that organic means it's content we put up without paying for it to be promoted, but through our followers and through other shares, it gets disseminated. Paid print and digital ads, streaming video ads. We have our EBCE newsletters and press releases. We have direct mail and email campaigns. 3 times a year, we do what we internally refer to as our hyper-local sponsorships. So hopefully you've all seen those and helped spread the word when the application window is open. But we have funded anything from the Dublin Bocce tournament to Girls Garage in Berkeley. So it's been, you know, a pretty broad swath of the community that we look to fund, and in that way sort of use this trusted partner. And that has mainly just been focused on brand awareness. There's no specific call to action, but it has helped over the last couple of years create a network of organizations that we have a touch point with. And then, of course, on a monthly and other regular cadence, we are sharing content with a number of networks. So your staff at your local cities and the county have been great in sharing our content through your local sustainability newsletters, or maybe even just like general content newsletters, which is super, as well as social media content, program updates. We've also been working with the local chambers of commerce. We're members to all of them, and they have been really great partners in promoting some of the information that is very specific to our small, medium, and large commercial customers, such as the transition to time of use rates. And then we most recently have started a monthly email to over 200 community-based organizations. So we're getting information out there. We are building this, but there's a way to sort of kickstart it by leveraging a partner who also has these kind of channels and reach out into our communities. So let's go to the next slide and talk about what options are out there. So you can continue on to the next slide, please, Adrienne. So internally, we were brainstorming. You can see a lot of different names here in this word cloud. And we were trying to think of, okay, what is sort of in some way unique to the East Bay? So Alameda County and Tracy is based on they're headquartered here. They have a strong following here. Try to think about different organizations, companies, services that have sort of, they're pitching their own consumer product and understand how to engage with consumers. So there's a lot of local food brands. This is not even exhaustive, but you know, everything from Cliff Bar to Otis Spunkmeyer, which makes me nostalgic. I loved Otis Spunkmeyer. I mean, I still love Otis Spunkmeyer. Local retail outlets like Ross Stores, Mervyn's, Oaklandish. Food outlets like Lucky Stores and Safeway. Safeway is out in Pleasanton. Local wineries and breweries, there's endless numbers. Services like Gig Car Share, the Oakland Airport. Local sports teams, of course, like Roots and Cal Athletics. And then other networks, which, you know, this would be a slightly different type of partnership, but like the Girls and Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts, or PTAs, or other organizations that sort of have local sort of affiliate chapters. We can go to the next slide. So we thought about a best fit analysis, and some of the filters we applied were, okay, does this organization or company have some level of focus on sustainability? Do they have a focus on local community? And do they have this ongoing engagement network throughout our service territory? And so we took some of the sort of top ones, and again, this is based on our brainstorming, so other ideas are certainly welcome. And you know, things like breweries and wineries kind of dropped out because we have found in the past, like when we do events where alcohol is served, people aren't really thinking about their electricity at that point. But the ones that made it through these initial filters are what you're seeing here. And then in the very center are the ones who seem to hit all three of these good fit filters. I guess I can speak to why some of them, you know, we felt they had a good local network, but weren't necessarily focused on the local community. Or, you know, they have a really strong sustainability but they don't necessarily have like a local network that is available. So why don't we go to the next one, and I'll focus on the 4 that are in the center there. So based on our brainstorm, we thought, okay, East Bay Regional Parks District, BART, and Kaiser Permanente seem to fit into, come through all of those filters, in addition to the routes, which we'll talk about next. But, and I have not reached out to them. I didn't want to honestly take all the time because it would take a lot of effort to really engage with these guys, but wanted to get your feedback before I did that. So if you thought these were good ideas, I was going to do that after the fact. So this is really just my ideas of what I thought a partnership might look like. How would we engage with East Bay Regional Parks District? So signage at the parks, promotion on their website, they have newsletter, they have social and events that we could hopefully get some messaging into. And they do have community outreach programs. A lot of those are like summer camps or educational programs that we could be leveraging. And then I've just noted what their social media stats are. Similarly with BART, signage at the stations, on the trains. At the stations would obviously be limited to those within our service territory. On the trains means that messaging is really going to go outside of our service territory, but it's still really great exposure. And then their website, newsletter, social, they have an incredible amount of followers on Twitter. I think this is most likely due to riders wanting updates about like train delays and track closures and things like that. And then we have Kaiser Permanente. Again, signage at facilities within our service area, promotion, web, newsletter, social. We could train their call center, perhaps, on promoting energy assistance programs that help financially and/or improve indoor air quality. So that was things I was thinking about, what are the synergies between us and Kaiser? Well, it's about health. And, things like decarbonizing our homes and businesses has a strong indoor air quality message. So maybe there could be some synergies there. And again, mentioned their different, these are all for the Thrive campaign. If you look up Kaiser Permanente on social media, they have a number of different accounts, but it seems like the Thrive is really their main channel. So we can go to the next slide. So I wanted to focus in on the sports opportunities. Of course, you've already heard a lot about the Oakland Roots. Dan and I have been meeting with Cal Athletics, which is there's a private company that manages sort of the marketing around UC Berkeley's athletic events and teams. And this is referred to as Cal Athletics. So they pitched to us this concept of a Clean Up Berkeley Day with some social media and paid impressions. So this would be social media that they then promoted and paid for that to get posted to people, not necessarily just those people who follow Cal Athletics. And that would be sort of focused on the campus. Nonprofit of the game presented by EBCE. I really liked this idea. So it was taking some of those, what we call hyperlocal sponsorships, and promoting them during basketball games. So they would get sort of their name up on the digital billboard. They would get tickets. They could possibly be called out to the court at halftime, and really help to build up those relationships we have and get more benefit out of the money and effort and resources we're putting into our local sponsorships. And that would have a lot of signage during the game. Some of those games are televised as well, an online campaign, and some social and paid impressions. We would have one men's and women's basketball game sponsorship. And then we'd have Fan 365, which is sort of their fan portal, you could think of it as. And it's where you go to buy tickets, to buy merchandise, to sign up for updates. And so they have, I think she said they had 32,000 local accounts through Fan 365. That we would get 500,000 impressions there. and then shared their social. The other big opportunities that were also brought up at the board meeting were, kind of the Oakland A's, but I also included here Oracle. Fortunately, this is dated information. We talked to them back in 2019 when the Warriors were still there. Now the opportunities at Oracle are really just focused around, concerts, events, Disney on Ice, the Monster Truck Jam, things like that. And it was going to be $150K to be their official energy partner. For the Coliseum and the Oakland A's, we did talk to them in 2019. I will say they were not very responsive, and I have since reached out to them and I've had no response. So unfortunately, we could continue to pursue that if that is the direction we get from this group. But I see my concern there is like they're not really looking for a local partner at our level. They're partnered with like Stanley Tools and Snapple, and who else did I see? Some really big national brands that, I think they'd be sort of less willing to be this local partner for us. So then that takes us to the Oakland Roots, who I think the biggest value here is really their willingness to be a local partner. So as we discussed before, there's this opportunity to be their Deeper Roots partner, which is focused on climate justice. There's a lot of logo integration, both at Laney College where they play, as well as on the streaming, game day streaming where it's playing on like ESPN Plus. We would be a game day title sponsor and have like a 4-day takeover of their website, as well as some press exposure. We would have commercials and in-game reads and logo on the ticker and all of these things that I had enumerated in the previous presentation, and we can go back over the details as you like. They also are open and willing and very ready to make happen this idea of $510 for every home game goal, which they estimate based on, hopefully their scoring potential, hopefully it'd be even higher, lots of goals, but they think that's going to be worth about $25,000. And they're very open to how do we want to apply that money. Initially, their concept had been it would go towards tree planting as a move towards being climate positive. But they are, as Taylor is listening in today, he was on the board meeting. They are well aware of, our main concern right now as an agency about utility debt and the difficult position that many of our customers are in. And so they're willing to sort of shift that money around as we deem necessary. There's also a 1% sponsorship that right now is to a group called Common Goal. So it's 1% of whatever our sponsorship fee is would go to sort of this local effort. And the Roots, of course, are strong presence within our community. And they actually, I'll get into this in a bit, but I really do feel confident about them as our sort of community partner. And a lot of that is because of our background with them. So if we can go to the next slide, please. I'm just going to dive a little deeper into the Roots offer because it has changed. We heard what you were saying in the board meeting, and we went back and we talked with Taylor, and he talked with the folks at his organization, and came back with, I think we can just sort of focus in on this bottom section here. So the annual sponsorship levels that are still available to us would be the practice jersey. So basically we get everything, and then what you're seeing here next to the number is sort of like the marquee branding opportunity. So marquee branding opportunity would be the practice jersey, and then we get all this other stuff at $225, the front of game shorts at $175, and then the presenting sponsor of the Kids Zone, which is if at their home games, sort of in, since it's normally a football field, but now it's a soccer field, sort of in the end zone, and behind there is the Kids Zone, where they have a lot of games and activities. And I was fortunate enough to go to their home opener in 2020, right before the pandemic hit. And it was a crowded and active area. They were also giving away free ice cream, so lots of people hanging out in that area, and we could be the presenting sponsor of the Kids Zone, which I think is also very on brand for us. So if we want to go to the next slide. So why in particular have we been focused on the Oakland roots? And if we could go to the next slide. We were an initial founding partner. So we've been working with Taylor and the team since, I think it was 2018 when we all started talking. Yeah, I'm trying to think about exactly when that was, and it was very early on. And we've partnered with them to distribute masks. We had over 8,000 masks that we distributed to different local organizations. We partnered with them on an effort called East Bay Daily Donation, which had its own logo, but was really driven by Jamal on Dan's team to really help promote local organizations that were supporting people during the pandemic and continue to support people. And they helped to share this out with their network. And actually it was the Roots that got the Oakland A's on board. Oakland A's didn't respond to us, but they responded to the Roots and shared this out. And that was really due to the Roots helping us push this. And then most recently, we did this Earth Day video with Johannes Harish, who's featured here. And, we had 245 views, which is awesome. The Roots had 3 different versions and they got nearly 4,000 views. So, they really helped to push out content and get that awareness about EBCE out there. And so, you sort of have aspirations for new partners, and then you have those partners you have that you can count on. And I think that is one of the things that's been driving me to sort of dig in more and look at the Roots, because we do have such a strong history with them. And then if we can go to the next slide. And this is my last real meaty one. I don't want to read through all of this, but thank you, Taylor, for providing lots of this information. Just wanted to show you what the Roots are doing beyond soccer and beyond just Oakland. Some of this was highlighted in previous presentations, but just wanted to sort of leave this here for you to digest. But I think at this point, what I'd like to do is just move into, the next slide just says thoughts on partnerships, directions on Roots partnerships, but maybe we'll just leave this up there so you can read through it, digest it a bit. But I want to wrap up my presentation and get your thoughts and feedback.
Are you ready for thoughts and feedback, Annie?
Yeah,
I am ready.
okay. So let me see who has their hands up here. I'm trying to get this.
It's Kate.
There we
It's
go.
Kate
There
and
we
I.
go. Okay, so Director Hernandez, would you like to start off comments?
Yeah, sure. So I have a couple questions. Have we ever worked with an actual marketing firm at all whatsoever in the past when we first started East Bay Community Energy?
We did. Circle Point is who we were initially contracted with. They ran the focus groups to develop the initial logo, as well as develop the names of the product, develop the initial website and marketing collateral, and then ran the initial awareness campaigns at the time of launch.
So did they give us feedback on how we can stay kind of afloat to be able to hit, more campaign wise to like residents and so on? And did they give us ideas?
No. So Circle Point was great to work with. They're a really good firm. I think, they helped us establish a foundation and get us up on our feet, but we felt that they weren't really the agency to help us be innovative and dynamic. And so, we're also able to build out staff and take a lot of what they were doing in-house. So that was sort of step one, was move away from a consultant, which tends to be quite expensive, bringing a lot of what they were doing in-house. So things like social media content, placement of ads. We now maintaining and updating our website. Now we do that in-house. We do continue to have a really great graphic design consultant called Celery Design. And so they have, but they're not marketing. They're really graphic design folks, but they have a great, I feel like they offer more in terms of strategy to us, like they did a social media audit. And then the third point I wanted to make is that we do have 2 consultants currently under contract where we're initially doing, the stage we're at right now is to say, okay, let's do an assessment of where we're at, give us feedback on what we're doing well, where we can improve. And then the next step would be, okay, and here's how we're going to build out strategic plans for, and give us sort of the basic framework around sort of an example campaign of how you want to do customer engagement. So we're working with a company called Full Court Press Communications on that, and a second one called Mixing Board.
Okay. The only reason why I was asking is because in Dublin, we had done a full marketing to be able to create our New American Backyard. And I was on that task force before I even got onto council. And we worked with that agency. We worked with them actually for probably more than a couple months. And then that's what created, and it takes about, probably about a good 5 years to be able for everyone to understand. And we have compared to the 550,000 people that we do have as customers, it takes a while to be able to, get our name out there and people understand, oh, Dublin's a New American Backyard, and what does that mean, and so on. So that's the only reason I wanted to make sure that we're doing it correct, if there's a correct way of being able to get the right people in place to be able to market us, because I think it's extremely important for us not to be able to miss those pieces. And then also another idea that you were talking about the urgent call to action for utility debt for customers that aren't able to pay their bills. And I think, to me, and I've had just a quick conversation with Nick the other day about this, but for me, it's extremely important to be able to get to those customers to be able to help them. So the only way you're going to be able to help them is to get to the resources that are helping those individuals, right? So social services, so CBOs, so especially right now during the pandemic, those residents that are utilizing those entities, they are going to be our partners because they're able to get us, they're able to let us know kind of an area where they live, so do we focus and go out and do like a campaign where you go and talk to these people, right? And say, we want to help you to sign up to be able to help to get your so you're not so far behind on your bill, to be able to get you off your feet. And so I think that's extremely important. So, I work obviously with CBOs a lot. And so that's how you're going to get those customers to be able to sign up for that program so that we can help them.
Yeah,
So
those are great points. I'll just note this week, last week and this week, I have calls scheduled with the local staff supporting the emergency rental assistance program, which also provides utility debt relief. And so that's for Oakland, Fremont, and then the county is covering everybody else who didn't get a direct
so
allocation.
Oakland has their own agencies, and the counties is assisting everybody.
Right.
But also, the food drives, all the food drives that have been in the past, we should have been able to hand out a person, every person that's in that line for a food drive, a little pamphlet saying how they can sign up for assistance.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I hope we haven't missed that boat yet, because I know that some of these, the drive-throughs are going to be closing up soon due to funding. But so those are just food for thought. One more that I was thinking is the Alameda County Fair is going to be taking place.
Yes.
And that's huge. And Alameda County Fair sees, coming in and out of the gates, so many individuals. I know that they're already working behind the scenes to how they're going to market it and how they're always also going to be working in partnership with other people to obviously, you know, make everything safe and for people. But I have a feeling you're still going to get a lot of customers.
Yep, and we are already in touch with them. I saw that announcement that it's going to be in October this year rather than
Correct.
July. And so we have in the past couple of years, well, not last year clearly, but we've been the power station sponsor. And they're not sure whether or not they're going to have that this year, but we're still wanting to have a presence at the fair. So we've already been in touch with them, and they just, as you said, like they're still figuring out how exactly they're going to hold this. So they don't have all of their like sponsorship opportunities clearly defined yet, but
I think
we
they
are
do a
absolutely
commercial.
tracking it.
I think they do a commercial, don't they? So just, so the
Okay.
whole, we can talk about this too, Annie, later, is also, if they're doing a commercial, can we also collaborate with them in that commercial so that when that commercial is being seen by folks on TV, you know, maybe our logo's down at the bottom or on the top or something. Okay, I may have a couple questions after, but I'll let Councilmember Harrison go.
Okay, Director Harrison, please, your question.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Hernandez, for your great questions. I wanted to ask a couple things, Annie. One, as you know, a big focus of ours in Berkeley is to make sure that people who can be enrolled in CARE and FERA are enrolled. Will this group help with that? Because clearly that's a group that needs a lot more outreach and attention. What is the plan for that?
Yeah, so I think absolutely any partnership that we would establish, we'd be looking to promote enrollment in CARE and FERA. We, of course, continue to do sort of a separate effort around CARE and FERA through our Connected Communities program, as well as sort of a regular email campaign. So this is not meant to be, a partnership of this nature is not meant to be the sole channel by which we were trying to get various messages out, but just a way to extend our reach.
Yeah, it's just we're going to talk about debt relief. First, we need to get people into assistance programs that already exist. So another question I had was about our regular communications. I realize this is probably not something that this group is going to be working on, but I can't tell you how many times every week somebody hands me an EBCE bill or a PG&E bill and says, I don't understand this bill. And no matter what we do on the positive side, as long as that persists, we're going to have problems with people. And I'm not sure how to fold that in here, if at all. I'm just saying that sort of impression about and this confusion in the bill is created by PG&E, frankly. So we all know that. But what I'm saying is it's left this negative sense with people that we're going to have to combat. So no matter how many positive things we do, we get these questions about this billing I don't understand. So I don't know if there's any way that they can help with that. But it's just, it's so frustrating. I mean, I'm not kidding. Every dinner party, why do I have this bill? What does this mean? You know, I'm like, I don't want to talk about this anymore. So
well,
I'm just
glad
going to throw that out there. You what?
Yeah, I said, I'm glad they're coming to you. Like they know to come to you, that they recognize
I'm not. So I just want to say there's this negative sort of thing on top of us. And no matter what we do on the positive side, that's there. So, you know, I don't want this to end up being something that's very rah-rah and people go, well, that's all cute and nice, but you know, really look at these charges. It won't work.
Yeah. So last March of 2020, which got a little bit diluted because we all went into shelter in place, we did launch a new configuration of our billing engine, which made, in my opinion, the identification of where your EBCE charges, how those broke down, it made it much more clear. So it showed a clear PCIA credit, a franchise fee credit, a Bright Choice discount, or a renewable 100 premium charge, like the surcharge. And really, it shows that now as line items. So for over the last year, we have had that implemented as it was quite an undertaking from sort of an operations back end, but I think there were multiple positive outcomes. One of the major ones being bill presentation to a customer to make it easier to understand. Juan Cortez is on the line right now too. And I know Juan has been scheduling Understanding Your Bill webinars for our new communities who are seeing EBCE charges on their bill for the first time this month. But he is also hosting one that, I mean, anyone can attend those. We were initially targeting them to the new communities, but we will be hosting one for just sort of broad audience. And I think we recently recorded that and posted that online as well. I know that's not everything you want to hear. I do hope in the past we were able to do sort of like coffee shop talks about Understand Your Bill. Clearly for the last 18 months, that has not been an option. I think as we move further into this new world and figure out what is appropriate and safe, you know, we would love to go back and do that again, because I think, you know, that it wasn't just, you know, the 10 people who showed up, it was those 10 people now were at the dinner parties and getting questions from their friends and telling their friends, and it had this ripple effect that I think was very effective, and it was really well received, I think, by members of the public.
Well, a specific example is like our recent, you know, the time of use change. And I think what I'm looking for whoever partners with us is positive messaging about, did you know you can program your dishwasher so it runs during the less expensive times? Because people don't even know what time of use means, I think. So that's all I'm suggesting, is somehow to put out positive messages about why our charges work certain ways, how we're trying to save energy and it avoids building power plants, and you can help us. So I just hope that message will get out there. And then I had just one comment. Berkeley has its own rental assistance program separate from the county. I'm hoping you can work with us specifically. Then generally, do we have any additional funding at all? Because I was sort of interested in these other government partners, the Kaiser, BART, East Bay Park end of things. Do we have any way to fold in with them, or any small amount of money we can use to work with them? Because it looked like, I think it was Kaiser was third on your list, has a huge number of people, it might've been BART, on their social media. So I don't know what they would charge us to participate in that, but they're just such a big vehicle for us.
Sure. So I haven't looked into like full partnerships with those entities until I got this kind of direction. So I can do more work there. I will say East Bay Parks, we do have a relationship with them. I think they've received some of our hyper local sponsorships. We can engage with them in a more robust way. Some of those entities may not actually be our customers because they're on direct access, but I think as Kaiser isn't government, right? I mean, they're like nonprofit, but BART as like more of a government agency, you know, there could be synergies there, and we can certainly reach out and try and do some partnership.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
And sorry, a quick question for you, Director Harrison. Is your local rental assistance program, does it also cover utilities? Because I've noticed other cities have it too, but it's only for rent.
I'm going to have to find out for you, and I'll get back to you on that. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I think it does, but I'm not positive. I'll let you know. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Director Harrison. Next, Director Kick.
Hi, thanks for this. I actually really appreciate, I'm on lots of boards, and this is the board that gets marketing and gets branding compared to others. So I really appreciate that you're coming to us with these ideas. One of the things I was wondering is how we can be the most helpful as board members who know our various communities well. And so, you know, how are we going to get to you? How should we get to you the information about the events and cultural events as we start to open up back into the community, right? So in 2019, y'all were the sponsorship partner to do a charging station for Livermore Pride. And we thought we were going to have like 300 people there, but then 3,000 people showed up, and that was amazing. And we were glad to be able to, you know, have you there. And, you know, that's happening again. And so as we move forward and we realize that our communities are going to be having various events that would be a good spot for you to, you know, have a charging station or whatever that looks like. what's the best way to get that to you in a way that makes sense so that you can be prepared? Like, I
Right.
don't want to call you the week before and say, hey, can you show up? So that it's kind of on your calendar so that, every October, these are the events that happen in Livermore.
Yeah.
Every spring, this is the art festival. That's a good space for people to show up. And then considering some of the, if you can, assign us, I'm just asking for feedback on how do we
Yep.
get it to you. So the school board, for example, has certain events that they hold, and especially if we're trying to reach underrepresented groups, if we're working with
Mhm.
certain schools, my daughter goes to Junction, which is the dual immersion school, and they have a huge Day of the Dead festival every year, which is going to reach a lot of our care and fair customers. And so, what can we do to get that information to you in a way that's effective and easy for you to get? Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Those are great questions. So we do have a list of events that, we did, hundreds of events. I don't know the total count offhand, in 2018, 2019. And then of course that changed dramatically in 2020, but I think it was going to change in 2020, not quite that dramatically, where instead of just due to human resources, we wanted to start sponsoring more events and really focusing our in-person participation at some of the most effective events. So we had a list of sort of key events, and we tried to have one in each jurisdiction, or at least an event that served each jurisdiction, even if it wasn't located exactly in it. And so we had that list, and for 2020, that list hasn't materialized, right? But I can share that with you. I might have shared it previously. I'll go back and find it. I also have a survey that I've already created, and I've just been delayed in sending it out, partly because so many things with in-person events are in flux right now. But a survey that I can send certainly to this subcommittee and to the full board. And then all of your responses will come back into a spreadsheet, which makes it a lot easier for us. And it might be that, oh, yep, we already had that one on our list, great. But if you're adding to that, wonderful. And I think what we can do with the amount of resources, staff resources and such that we have is, certainly look to be a sponsoring entity of an event, and in some cases have an in-person presence when that becomes a thing again. But I will send out that survey, Director Kick, so that you have that.
That would be great. And just, I think you can utilize us as well. We get sent to events all the time for our cities. And so, for example, going to that Day of the Dead festival, I'm going to be there as a parent to my child, but I'm also now an elected and now board member of EBCE. So if you knew that was happening and you said, hey, if you're going to be there, let me know, and I will prepare you by handing you some pamphlets or whatever. So I'm prepared to give information rather than just being like, go on the website. How can you leverage our presence? Because we get invited to stuff all the time. And so making sure that our presence is more useful, especially those smaller events where we're not going to necessarily get staff out to this event. But I'm already going to be there, making sure that I have the resources and tools that I need to be the best advocate for EBCE that I can, especially with our customers who are less likely to engage with us online, at a Title I school event.
Okay. Is that it, Director Kick?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Director Hernandez, did you have any other comments or questions?
Yeah, just another comment. I know that event you're talking about, Brittany. It's such a great event. I've attended as well, but we're also walking billboards. So if we're going to events, you guys can give us a t-shirt and we choose to wear it that day. And I understand that staff cannot be at every single event, but we are here to help you and East Bay Community Energy. So my suggestion would be is if you have a list of events that East Bay Community Energy staff is already attending, maybe have it already for all of us so that, or have it, for every city, right? And have it either on our website so that if other members want to be able, or they're around that event, they can also show up and get in coordinated, get in touch with you, Annie, so that we're able to help out as well. But having a master list, and then that master list can rotate and change, right? Only because you do it in 2020 or 2019 or 2018 doesn't mean that it's going to be that set. But I just think that's useful for, at least for us, and to have a master list so that we can say, oh, they're already going to be at the Alameda County Fair. They're already going to be at our splatter event in September that we have every single year, so that you're hitting every single city, right? That's just how I see it. And then, did I hear you say that the A's, no one got a hold of you back from the A's? Okay.
Correct.
So I already put a phone call in, so I will let you know. I mean,
Thank you.
utilize us.
Appreciate
We
that.
sometimes we have numbers that can get to people right away. So, all right. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, I have some brief comments. I'd like to expand on what Director Hernandez stated about, having a T-shirt or something, because we are walking billboards. A few weeks ago, many of you may know that Governor Newsom came to our city. I happen to be on the board of directors of a federally qualified health center, Tiburcio Vasquez Health Center, and he came to our vaccination site. And I was not only representing the city as a councilman, but also as in my job as a board member. But they had bought us some fleece jackets about a year ago. Tiburcio had, and I made sure I wore it to make sure that as I stood behind the governor when he was giving his press conference, there I was with that jacket showing the logo. So I thought that was very important to make sure that people realize that we get the word out. And I think that's going to be very important, for these smaller events, because like Mayor Hernandez stated, you can't send staff to every event, but we're out there all the time. So I think that's very important. Another thing I think would be important is also doing some marketing on AC Transit or some of our local transit buses. You have your own transit there in the valley. We have Union City Transit here. I mean, that's just going throughout our community throughout the whole day. And I mean, like you said, BART, it's great, but it goes outside of our area, our service area. But these other agencies, especially the local ones, they're there 24/7. So I think it'd be great to look into that. And also when thinking about marketing at the fair, think about setting up a booth. This is where you could get a lot of questions answered right there. I think it'd be great. So yeah, and that's really all I have. I'd like to thank everybody for all their comments. The presentation was great. Gave us a lot of info that we just didn't have before.
So thank you. That was a lot of great feedback that I think spanned both our marketing and outreach and advertising. Going back specifically to partnerships, it sounds like there's interest in seeing what we could do. Maybe it's not like as a sponsorship kind of partnership, but with East Bay Regional Parks and Kaiser and BART. What are your thoughts specifically on the information presented about the routes?
Who would like to go first on that? Director Hernandez, would you like to say anything regarding that, since you were the one that asked the first questions?
Yeah, sure. The reason I had a couple issues with Roots. One, you guys have been saying that they've been our partner for for a long time, right? So for so many months and so on. But then you come forward to the board literally right before, I'm assuming a couple weeks, maybe they call you a couple weeks, maybe a month, and they wanted to fast forward this. And I didn't feel comfortable just going ahead and saying, yeah, sure, let's give them $300,000 a year. And the reason why is because if you had that relationship with them before, then they should have came and talked to the marketing team before, right? So if you've had that relationship with them, then everything shouldn't have been fast forward and saying, oh, we have to, it's a do or die, or we're going to lose them. I don't think that was the correct way to come forward to the board. Because if you do have that relationship, they should have reached out to you about 6 months prior to that. And that's the issue I had. You're focusing on hoping that the people that watch soccer, that's one of the ways. I think we're going to have to do more than just that. You know, I really think we need to think about how we can actually retain, because for us, it's about retaining the customers we have. And I think that's extremely important. And I'm sure that if you talk to any marketing team, that's what you're trying to do. Growing is also going to help. Of course it is. But to retain the customers, answer the questions they have, make them feel comfortable so that we have that relationship with them. So they understand their bill. They understand who is East Bay Community Energy, for me, is a priority. And so I don't want to speak on behalf of the rest of the marketing team but those are my priorities, is to be able to retain and make relationships that we need to be able to keep. And so I just didn't see it coming from just one particular sports group. It has nothing to do with which affiliation, whether it's sports, basketball, baseball, or so on. It has to do with, is this the best way to utilize our funding and our money to be able to market for our customers? And I think we also have a couple other, arenas that we have to take care of first before we go and spend this extreme amount of money. That's the one comment I had.
Thank you, Director Hernandez. Annie, would you like to respond, or would you like for me to keep going?
Sure, I can respond quickly. Thank you for that, Mayor Hernandez. Just in terms of the timing, yes, it was very accelerated, and I do apologize for sort of pitching that onto the board and what seemed like a very last minute effort. I think the roots, like us, are sort of still a little scrappy and small, and so they were developing these sponsorship opportunities and brought it to us as soon as they sort of had it formed. It was simultaneous to when they brought it to their other founding partners, and so would it be ideal to have it sooner? Absolutely. Do I think that there was some sort of breakdown in our partnership? I don't. But I hear you in that it wasn't a good process for us and our board. And then sort of in terms of, I don't see the roots as just soccer fans. I think they're doing a lot in our community, but this is also not the sole channel. So we're coming back now, not at 300K, but at like 125 a year. And we've already contributed a portion of that based on our current sponsorship level for this year. So it would just be one more channel. And I hear you on working with the CBOs and social services, but sort of how do we get to even more people? And so that's why we're looking at something that is sort of outside of the government realm. It's really outside of, what you might think of in terms of like, well, where are people going to find out about utility debt relief? It's like, great, we have already got them. Now, how do we get everybody else? Because this pandemic has not just hit the people who sort of previously we've been ongoing trying to support and help to avoid disconnects, but now it's a much broader population of folks. And so how do we access those folks and also leverage voices that they listen to that maybe, again, I think the great example was Marshawn Lynch talking to Dr. Fauci. Marshawn Lynch has nothing to do with public health, but he's someone that people listen to. And so him talking to Dr. Fauci got a message to a population that, maybe distrusts the government or doesn't feel like people are speaking to them in a voice that they understand. And so that's what we're hoping to do. But I hear your concerns and just know that it's not like this is going to be the sole thing we do. We're going to continue to do our event sponsorships at local events. We're going to continue to do hyper local sponsorships, media content or social media content around Heritage Month and key events that are occurring. We're going to continue to do a ribbon cutting ceremony in Livermore for our new Scott Haggerty Wind Energy Center. We're going to do all of these things in addition to, and use this as a channel to promote some of that good work and really hope to engage with our customers, because you're right, we do need to always retain them, but we need to go beyond brand awareness at this point because we need folks to do something. We need them to enroll in things because we are offering these things, and honestly, they need these things, and we need them to take some action.
Okay, thank you, Annie. Director Harrison?
Yeah, let me ask the question a little bit differently. What is our marketing budget for these kind of partnerships, and what share would this represent?
So in the upcoming budget, this is incorporated. At this level, it would be, I mean, it's a large part of the major sponsorships. The other major sponsorships that we've been doing, we have an ongoing commitment to, well, actually, I'll put that one aside. We do Habitat for Humanity. We do Bike to Wherever, which used to be Bike to Work. Hopefully it'll be Bike to Work again. We consider the county fair one of our major sponsorships simply because it hits above a 5,000K mark. Dan, I feel like I'm forgetting some, and I know you're on the line. Our
do we have a budget?
Is about 50K.
So,
Let me.
Supervisor,
Go ahead, Nick.
Council Member Harrison, it's less than 10% of our proposed budget. So our proposed budget for marketing, our proposed marketing budget is roughly $1.6 million. And, you know, the Roots, the incremental cost of the Roots, because there already is money in this FY for a Roots sponsorship that the board has approved, it's an incremental $75,000 this year for a total of 125, which, you know, call it 8% of the marketing budget. You know, what I'd say is, yes, it's the largest of the large sponsorships, though there are limited large sponsorship opportunities in Alameda County. You know, like Solano Stroll is an example. Like there's just not an opportunity to sponsor Solano Stroll to that level, right? So this is not, if the board were to approve this does not diminish any spend anywhere else. It's actually incremental money that we're bringing into the budget. So for instance, if we were to not pursue this, we would lower the overall budget. This is not a question of spending somewhere else. This is spending here because we think it's a way to, you know, reach customers in way, you know, and engage with them through channels that, you know, we're currently not able to pursue. So
That's very helpful. That context is really, really helpful. So I just don't have a firm grasp on the budget. So thank you for that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Board Member Tiedemann, please.
Yeah, my just general comment is, you know, I shared some of the concerns of how this felt a little bit rushed and it was a big ask, though I really liked the idea when it came to the main board. You know, I thought probably should come through us, and I'm glad we're getting the chance to discuss it. But I think that presentation made a good case for why the Roots is a good community partner and why we need to increase engagement and reach out to people in more in different ways in order to get them to interact as opposed to just retain. And at this lower level, I think this seems like a good opportunity. And you know, the Venn diagram of how this fits in with all the other organizations that we've looked at makes a lot of sense. As you know, this is the one with the right reach. As Annie, you've noted a couple of times, it's really difficult to find that right organization that has a reach that meshes with ours and doesn't go way beyond it or way too small. So I think this makes a lot of sense.
Okay, thank you. See, Director Kick, do you have any comments?
About Roots specifically?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think Roots is a great partnership. I mean, I think it makes a lot of sense. And I mean, they just have the same values as our brand. And I think our brands would go well together. So I see it as, I saw it kind of as a no-brainer when I was in that last meeting, but I get that we need to diversify how we do marketing, but I think overall, Roots makes a lot of sense to me.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, I guess that's my turn. Yeah, I had reservations at the last regular meeting because it just seemed rushed. And this is the proper venue to get this through. But this is an informational item on the calendar, so we're not going to take any recommendation at this point. And I'm glad, Nick, that you did put out there that this would only be an incremental increase over what we've already put down. I still am worried about the optics. You know, that here we have people that cannot pay their bills. I think it's a good idea, but I'm also worried about the optics. And we're gonna have to fine tune that to make sure we don't come off as a bunch of spendthrifts while others are hurting. So I'll leave that up to you guys. You guys are the professionals out there. So you know, I do think it does match with what our values are. One thing that did come to mind during this discussion was that we should get the information about helping people with their bills, things like that. Get that out to the community health centers in the area. They're the ones that help people fill out their forms for SNAP, for Covered California, things like that. This could be one more informational item for the clients. They're right there in the community, engaging with these people day in, day out. So this would be an easy way to get that information to the people that most likely will need it. So I think that, and it doesn't cost you anything, just get the information out there. So and maybe some minor training. But yeah, I'm glad we had this presentation. It's I feel more comfortable now if we were to move forward and do this. And I'm like I said, I'm very glad that it's not a whole upfront amount. It's just an incremental increase, and it's a lower amount than what was the original ask was. And maybe next year things will be much better, and we can actually move forward and do the higher level. But I think this is a very comfortable amount. But this is informational, correct? So we could just go ahead and move on to the next item.
Can I just add very quick?
Who was the one that wanted to add? Melissa? Okay,
So,
Hernandez.
You
yes,
brought a good point about how I also see it, how you said, health agencies and so on. Have you reached out to like our water district, our garbage company? Those are pretty big services that are in every city, right? So have we partnered up with any of them? Because I know, so like say for instance, our garbage company, every year I get, and I keep it on my counter, so old school. I get it in the mail and they tell me, these are the dates we're going to do pickups, right? So Dublin does 2 free pickups a year where you can put the oversized items on your street. You make an appointment and they pick it up. But little items like that where you can partner up with the bigger agencies like your water district and your garbage. It's important because people know, and they've been those actual agencies have been established, right, for such a long time. And then you throw on like the East Bay Community logo, or here's your new energy provider, little things like that. I think it's really important. Like I said, we get that little flyer twice a year, and I always keep it on top of my counter, just to remind me of when they will be doing that pickup.
Yeah, I think we are, continually looking at ways we can partner with, the other nonprofit kind of public agencies that provide services. And so, that's definitely something that we're seeking to do as well. Again, I see these as ands, not ors. It's, we will do this and pursue, so for the Roots, we're trying to pursue this as a different channel and really go this path of, and gain experience through the Roots with this idea of partnering with consumer brands, right? EBC is not a consumer brand, but we're trying to effectively, through these programs, we're trying to convert customers, trying to
Okay.
convert them into the AMP program. We're trying to convert them into our solar program, our energy efficiency. And so
Mhm.
gaining experience with how you actually integrate into a consumer brand. And then but it's not the only one, right? It's partnering with the water agency, in the right circumstances, or the trash collectors. An example being, we're starting a conversation with TriSed around electrification of some of their trucks, right? So then their branding opportunity there, absolutely, we're going to look to that. We're starting, at our executive committee meeting, there was a conversation around starting to explore a role that EVCE could play around bike share, right? So the electric bike share program that Lyft has been running across the East Bay is ending. Lyft is no longer going to be supporting electric bikes in these space. There's some role that we can play there. Tremendous branding opportunity. Those are incremental though, right? And we want to evaluate those. But I think really one of the benefits I think of this committee is getting some of these ideas, right? So the twice, that's something we should. I don't know that we had specifically talked about the sort of the notice that folks get around those pickups. We can have a follow-up conversation with some of these providers to see if there is, if there's something there.
We did do that in Hayward. We were able to work with that agency in Hayward.
Okay.
I don't think it was an insert, so we didn't have like specific metrics on the effectiveness.
So I know your interest is big on Roots. So I don't have that picture in front of me with the incentive, but I would like, if we are going to partner up with Roots, is for them to hit every single city. So they're not just hitting, Oakland or Fremont or Hayward or anything like that. And I know they're in Livermore, Brittany. So I know they're there, but it would be nice for them to partner up like one weekend in every city, which I think that'd be great, because then it gives an equal opportunity for all the cities to get to know who they are, right? And you can invite individuals to go there and hear about them. So not is it only good that they're helping us out, but we're helping them out as well, because you're having, again, that relationship of saying, they did come out to Dublin, they did come out to Pleasanton, they did come out to, Berkeley and Oakland and so on. And so that I think the entire board would feel comfortable with that, with saying, hey, they've been to my city. And I think that's really important for them to be able to have a presence. And, whether it be families and kids. And so you're getting, all age groups involved as well.
I actually think that absolutely. I think absolutely. And I think actually, getting specifically down to sort of this Roots discussion, the opportunity we're looking at with the Roots, which is the Kid Zone sponsorship. One of the things that I think will do is really give us the ability to reach into every single one of our communities. And, as people start returning to events, inviting families from all of our territories to the games, to the Kid Zone. So yes, the answer is yes. Every one of our communities will have the opportunity for benefits here.
And the reason why I say that is because I know they're fairly new, but it's exciting for me to have seen someone succeed and say, oh, I knew them when, they just started out, and I'm so happy for them. And it just gives that collaboration of saying, we want to support them even more. And that's just how I see it. And I think it'd be great for, and not just necessarily soccer, invite other families as well. But your sports programs in each city, I'm almost positive would be happy to advertise on their networks as well.
Okay, thank you. Yes, even though this is informational, I believe we have a consensus amongst us that this would be okay to go back to the main board meeting. Is that correct? Okay, I'm seeing everybody shaking their heads. Okay, so yes, Annie, Nick, you pretty much have our consensus here.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
No problem. Okay, next item is committee member and staff announcements, including requests to place items on future board agendas. Do we have any?
If I might.
Yes.
Yeah, I really would like us to talk about this time of use issue in more of our communications in a format that's other than in the bill. I think it's, people want to participate in the climate challenge. They're seeing the time of use right now is just kind of a negative, like I'm going to get billed more. And I think of it as a positive, I can help. So I don't know how to fold that in, but it's just an ongoing dilemma for me,
Yeah.
And I just feel like we need to really talk about our mission more and in our materials. And that, we're a great agency. The pricing is competitive. The green content's competitive, but, maybe a little bit more emotive. And maybe that's just a Berkeley thing. Could be, but I just feel like people would respond well to that. And I don't see that so much. I don't see us saying you can be part of the climate solution, which is what my constituents want to hear.
Yeah.
They just want to know it's cheaper, but we've covered that. But then they want to hear you could be part of the climate solution. So that's just a generalized comment. I don't know what to do with that. It's just a feeling I get that we tend to go into the inside baseball arena and deal with the technical stuff we know, but we don't say that enough.
That's a, I think a great perspective, and I think let's work on that. What I'll say, just as we're thinking about it, and we're starting to do a lot more work on customer engagement. I think the opportunities to do that are really going to be around calls to action, right? So we haven't had to date, many calls to action, because we've been operating for 3 years at this point. And a lot of the work the first couple of years was just, getting ourselves up and running. And programs take time to launch, right? So we were going to be launching a major opt-up campaign about a year ago. But then, a global pandemic strikes. And so not a great time to do that. But, that's the context in which I think we want to sort of present that information and kind of be aspirational. And so one of the places we have been doing it, and it's not a mass, we're doing a more targeted outreach, is our Resilient Home program, right? So not every customer is getting mail, because what we've found is, we want to target the customers who are most likely to benefit from the program, right? And when we say that, it's like, we have enough data to know that, does somebody have a roof that could support solar? Like you don't want to market solar if there's no roof because it's entirely shaded by trees. You're actually setting kind of an expectation for that customer that they can get a benefit from something when, the shade will mean that you can't install it. So we have done certainly some of that. I think we're intending to do more.
Okay. Thank you.
That's a great point.
Go ahead, Director Hernandez.
So I wanted so one of the items that I find interesting about our water agency that we have in Dublin is they give us, so you can log on to the website and put in your information, and it shows you how much water usage you're using. So you're like, wow, on this day, and they break it down every single day. So you go back on, that Tuesday, or maybe the kids left something on or so on, so that you're able to at least bring awareness to your own family and saying, these are the high peaks. This is when we need to be able to be mindful on how much water we're using and what can we do to change our habits. And so I know that we're, looking at a drought and so on and the years, I just think it'd be something to be creative like that, whether we can create an app for East Bay community users so that they can have it on their phone and then they can look and see, wow, I'm spending a lot of energy right now. Did the kids leave all the lights on? I always like to blame it on my kids, but because they do. But little fun activities where you feel as a customer, you're engaged, right? And you're taking responsibility for your actions and saying, okay, and then we show, East Bay Community shows those times of, hey, you can use, run your dishwasher after 7:00 at night, or, I just think little interactive things where people can be responsible too would be not only informational, but will also be fun for the customer.
Yeah, no, great points. And, there's a very kind of robust statewide campaign. And I know we've been really actively looking at ways we can plug into the statewide campaign. I mean, you probably see the billboards, Keep It Golden, kind of the Keep It Golden campaign, which is, kind of very focused on this stuff. So no, great points. And, I think we're thinking all the time about more sort of tools that we can present our customers. A front end tool like that around like being able to log into the website, I think is something that, has been on our roadmap for some time. And, we'll report back as we do some more of our back end technology around that idea.
Okay, thank you, Nick. Any other comments? Oh, okay, I think it's time to adjourn then, and we will meet at this, so far, the next meeting will be August 5th, correct? So we will see you all at the next regular board meeting though, before that. Okay, have a great day, everybody. Thank you for taking the time.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.